When I started Pioneers of Marketing 3.5 years ago, the first 2 years, all I did was knock on doors. That's all I did. That's literally
Right.
all I did. So when I would go out, for example, and I'd go for a week, and I went to New York City, Manhattan for a week, and all I did was literally find every big business building there and just knock on doors. Sometimes I would be in one freaking building the whole day. So
Wow.
I just got used to people saying no so many times that I just stopped taking it personal, and I just realized that it's going to happen. Like, there's going to be people that are not going to be interested, that don't want to do it. And all I got to do is I just have to find that 1 or 2 or 3% of people that are interested or are looking for it. And that's it. So I just stopped focusing on all the people that weren't interested, and then just started focusing my attention on the few people that did respond.
But right now, we're going to be talking about your agency company and how you help companies drive revenue and really grow their business. And you've got monetizing direct message. That's an insane conversation. Nobody's really talking about it. So I wanted to bring you here on our show and really kind of talk about the meat and potatoes of what you do and how you help clients. As you guys know, we are the virtual services company. If you want to scale and grow your business, you hire my outdesk. Matt, you have some virtual assistants with us, yeah?
I think we're up to 3 people now, 3 or 4 people. Very professional. Very timely. Everybody that you brought to us has been doing an amazing job with us. I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful for the wisdom that you've shared with everybody as well. And
Nice.
you've been very helpful in terms of getting our processes down, making sure we're doing the right things. So when we're scaling with the people, and the people that you're bringing to us are top-notch people, the processes that you've helped us with have been helping a lot. And we weren't even planning on talking about this, and now that you brought it up, in all seriousness, I have to say that because, you guys are doing a really great job, by the way. So I do appreciate that.
So Matt, you're going to share some actual tips on how to grow and scale a business using direct message and marketing kind of techniques that you've come up with, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. Let's talk about what people shouldn't do, what they should do, all that kind of stuff from your mind and your company's framework.
One of the foundational actions or foundational thoughts that has really propelled me and allowed me to help somebody like Brandon Dawson, who's partners with Grant Cardone, I think he's made over a $1.5 or $2 million literally just using social media, direct messaging, content, and all these different things on his social media. One of the things that's helped us achieve results for people like that, and I don't say that to brag, I'm just saying that because we've spent the past, we've known each other for a little while now. We spent over 4 years getting this process down and figuring out how to actually make this work. And for me, it's principles for everything. And you know this because you've been doing this longer than I have been doing, and you have more experience and more knowledge in regards to business and everything like that. But in regards to social media, just like anything else, there's proven principles. And those proven principles, when you follow those proven principles on social media, they 100% work every single time. But there's 3 different things that people have to have the right mentality about when they're going into those principles. And the first one is they got to be open-minded. Yep. The second one is they have to be patient. And the third one is they have to actually execute what it is we're saying. And when they do all those 3 of those things, they'll crush it. And that's part of the reasons why my business has grown by 3,200% in the last 8 months, which is 40 times faster than the average business. And allowed me to get on stages like the 10X Growth Conference, voted by Forbes as the #1 marketing conference in the world, because we've taken those principles and we've applied that for not only our customers and clients, but for my own business too. Long story short, this information that Daniel, that I want to share with everybody on here is actual tangible information that they can apply to make more money for their business. And I know that because it's worked for so many other people. Right. And that process and those principles is a 2-step process. It's branding, which consists of getting that credibility down and getting known. And then it's advertising, which is generating leads from the people that are known or know who you are and who trust you, which is what credibility is all about. Now, understanding that process, that's the process right now. Obviously, when you're generating leads and you're getting new people that become contacts and leads from that brand, that's going to go into your sales process. Right. But what I want to just focus on right now is just those 2 first parts, branding and advertising. Now, when branding on social media, specifically Instagram and Facebook, those are the 2 platforms that we do a lot of work on, and LinkedIn as well, and LinkedIn. When you're doing those things, there's 3 main pillars to create that brand on social media. And this is cool. The first one is an audience. You need an audience. You need followers on your page. There's two reasons why you need followers. The
Yeah.
first one is altitude, right? So altitude, think about if you're in a busy restaurant and you're the only person in that restaurant. It's a
Right.
weird feeling, right? It's a really, really weird feeling. Why am I the only person in this restaurant right now? Why is there nobody else coming in, nobody coming else coming out?
Is the food good? That's my question. Is the food good, if you're the only one there?
Yeah, exactly. But what happens is people will associate that feeling with being weird. And that's the last thing that you want when you're building that brand on social media. Because what happens is when you're building that brand, like I mentioned before, it's getting known and building trust, which
Right.
is credibility. And people associate weird feelings with distrust. So it's not going to work. So that's why I'm saying followers and building an audience is super, super important, because it's the first pillar, because it creates
Okay.
altitude. The second one is influence. Whether you like Grant Cardone or you don't like Grant Cardone, a lot of people tend to know who he is. And the reason why is because he has a lot of influence. So when he packs a stadium with 30,000 people into an arena, now he has 30,000 people. Billie Jean talks about this all the time. I love Billie Jean, talks about it all the time. He has 30,000 people that socially approve of who he is.
Right.
And that's powerful. That is trust right there, man. I mean, when you can say, I just put an event together with 30,000 people, generates a lot of influence. And John Maxwell talks about it all the time. He talks about how leadership is measured by the amount of influence that you have over others.
Mm-hmm.
And circling back to social media, the first pillar is getting that audience down and having followers and people on your page, because it creates altitude and influence.
Right.
So when you're doing that, now you're positioning yourself as a leader in your space. And people are not going to follow people unless they're a leader. And we live in a world of perception. And I'm going to walk through and share in just a second how people can build their audience and how they can get followers. But first, if I don't convince them on why it's actually going to work, it's not going to matter. Building that audience and creating that influence and creating that altitude. I wanted to share a quick story. And it's when I went on that stage in Vegas this spring. There was 13,000 people in that arena. It was in Vegas. There was another 10,000 people online watching it on Zoom calls like this and podcasts and different things. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because I was literally no different of a person at all, Daniel. Literally the same person. Obviously, I was the same exact person before I went on that stage than after I went on that stage. The same person. But all that happened is people perceived me as a different person. And I had hundreds of people direct messaging me on my social media, hundreds of people that were coming up to me, because there was 13,000 people there throughout the course of 3 days, literally just because I was on that stage. And it's because people perceived me as a different person or a different persona or whatever it was. And to circle back to how can we make money on social media, we live in a world of perception. That's what we live in. We live in a world of perception. So that's the first thing is creating an audience. Now, how can you do that? How can you actually tangibly create an audience? I mean, there's a lot of ways. One easy way is you could go to an online event or an in-person event and make it your goal and make it your intention to connect with as many people as possible. And then when you're talking with them, say, hey, by the way, we should stay connected. Let's stay connected. You got an Instagram, you got a Facebook or whatever it is, right? And then make it that goal to then have them follow you on social media, because, and I'll get into this in a second, but social media is all about how can you take these online relationships offline, and then how can you take these offline relationships online? And how can you nurture the relationship that you form with somebody just for a few minutes? How can you nurture that relationship? How can you keep that 3-minute connection you had in person or online? And how can you actually nurture that and actually turn that into a connection or whatever it is, right? So that's the first way you can get an audience. The second way is you can collaborate with people that already have an audience, that already have reach. It could be somebody that is local. Like if you have a local based business, you can find somebody that already has a lot of influence and altitude over their audience in the area. Find people that already have the attention of your audience and then collaborate with them on a Zoom call or a shout out on social media or do an event together or have them post something on your behalf. Such an easy way to build your audience. So those are two.
One thing that we do a lot of is we'll collaborate with the tech platforms and the coaches and then the industry. For instance, whoever's in the industry regulating that particular industry. Wildly enough, we've just started selling cannabis virtual assistants. Well, guess what? Lots of people in that world, right? They've got tech companies and service companies. And so you just want to collaborate with everybody in your space, you know?
I was doing probably on average about $6,500 a month in revenue last year, monthly.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
last month, we did $150,000 a month. And by the end of the year, we're going to be doing at least $350,000, at least
Right.
monthly.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that to brag. So many people will say, oh, why you say, I'm saying that because people don't know that I went out and I door knocked on doors, like I've probably shared with you before, for literally 2 years straight. Like
People
literally,
also don't know how old you are.
Every single day.
How old are you, dude?
22.
I love it. You're going to be a millionaire before you're 25. Okay, quickly though, we want to focus on this topic, which is the revenue monetizing social media and direct messaging, because that's the thing that you're like world class at. So, and I have a question before we jump to that. How much of that growth has to do with the leverage that we provided? Because I've got to ask that question when we're talking about having that massive growth. What percentage or how much of that has been being able to be free because of your virtual assistants?
Oh, huge. It's been game changing because when I have to spend time, on doing tasks that's not going to bring in revenue, I'm not going to be able to bring in revenue. So when I can have the ability to work and have people from your team and people that you're helping me work together on and now become a face of Pioneers of Marketing, it's allowing me to spend time on growing the business. So it's been huge. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's been massive because you can't make anything big happen yourself. You need a team. Right. And it's allowed me to create a team.